Today's Threatopia briefing spans supply chain compromise in NPM and Android firmware, MFA-bypassing phishing kits, DNS-delivered PowerShell malware, AI assistants abused as covert command channels, and an actively exploited Dell zero-day that's tied to a suspected Chinese espionage group. We're also looking at 600,000 leaked retail customer records, critical VoIP and Windows privilege escalation flaws, record-high ICS vulnerabilities, and a global cybercrime crackdown that led to 651 arrests. What's the common thread? Identity abuse, trusted platform compromise, and attackers hiding inside legitimate infrastructure. Let's break it down. Welcome to Threatopia, where we break down real cyber threats, breaches, and the security patterns that actually matter. This is the cybersecurity briefing you can't afford to miss. Streaming from YouTube and all your favorite podcast platforms, I'm your host, Mike Kramer. I've been securing the private and public sector around the world for the last 20 years, helping organizations stay ahead of real attacks. Make sure to watch to the end to find out how a hacker got busted and is now serving years in prison. Upcoming events, we have the RSA Conference March 23rd to March 26th at the Moscone Center in San Francisco, California. We have SANS March 29th through April 3rd at the Hyatt Regency in Orlando, Florida. That includes a new AI security training, and there's a SOC Summit. It's a free virtual event which offers a live practical look to see what it's like to work inside a SOC. That's Wednesday, March 25th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central. They also offer, for an additional fee, live training March 26th through April 10th. And that brings us to our practical personal security tip of the day, which is turn on passkeys wherever they're available. You've probably seen this popping up in more and more platforms, devices, and software. Passkeys replace passwords with device-based cryptographic authentication that's tied to your phone, your laptop, or hardware key. They can't be phished, reused, or stolen in traditional credential dumps, which directly counters threats like the Starkiller style adversary in the middle phishing and InfoStealer cookie theft. Most major platforms now support passkeys, including Google, Microsoft, Apple, and many financial services. If your account supports passkeys, enable them and remove your password entirely if the platform allows it. It's one of the simplest ways to eliminate an entire class of attacks. All right, we have 18 stories today, so here's a rapid scan of the most important cybersecurity developments. Then we will group them and break them down and show you how to defend against them. So a malicious version of the Klein NPM package was distributed more than 4,000 times, silently installing OpenClaw through a stolen published token and supply chain compromise. The Starkiller phishing kit is now bypassing MFA by proxying real login pages and stealing session tokens. Passport data for roughly 700 VIPs at Abu Dhabi Finance Week was exposed on an unsecured cloud storage server. A critical buffer overflow in Grandstream GXP 1600 VoIP phones allows unauthenticated root-level remote code execution. A fake Google coin crypto presale used in an AI chatbot impersonating Google's Gemini assistant to scam victims. UNC 6201 exploited a hard-coded credential zero-day in Dell RecoverPoint for virtual machines for at least 18 months, deploying malware including Slaystyle, Brickstorm, and Grimbolt. CISA has ordered urgent federal patching. Keenadu malware was found embedded in Android device firmware through a supply chain compromise. Interpol arrested 651 individuals in a sweeping African cybercrime operation tied to over $45 million in losses. Microsoft patched a critical Windows Admin Center privilege escalation flaw that could enable full domain compromise. 4 widely used VS Code extensions with over 125 million installs contain serious vulnerabilities. Most still are unpatched. Shiny Hunters claims to have leaked 600,000 Canada Goose customer records. ClickFix attackers are now abusing DNS queries to deliver PowerShell malware, installing Modelo Rat. InfoStealers are harvesting session cookies and identity data across personal and corporate devices. A Nigerian hacker was sentenced to 8 years for using Warzone Rat to steal tax data and file $8.1 million in fraudulent returns. ICS vulnerabilities hit record highs in 2025 with many severe flaws not tracked by CISA. And researchers demonstrated that AI assistants like Grok and Microsoft Copilot can be abused as covert malware command channels. That brings us to our attack pattern deep dive. So this episode's dominant pattern includes supply chain compromise for initial access, credential abuse for persistence, PowerShell and web shells for execution, defense evasion through blending into legitimate traffic, and identity-driven fraud or espionage for impact. We see T1195, the supply chain compromise, in both the client NPM attack and Android firmware infections. Attackers poison trusted distribution channels, pushing malicious or risky components downstream at scale. Identity abuse continues to dominate. The Dell RecoverPoint zero-day exploited hard-coded credentials, classic valid account abuse with T1078 to gain root access, deploy war file web shells, and move laterally for 18 months. Info stealers are harvesting browser-stored credentials and session tokens. Starkiller captures MFA session tokens through adversary-in-the-middle phishing, effectively neutralizing traditional MFA. Execution methods are evolving. Click-fix campaigns now leverage DNS queries to retrieve second-stage PowerShell payloads, blending command delivery into normal DNS traffic. Meanwhile, AI assistants with browsing capabilities are being used as covert C2 channels over standard web traffic, a variation of application layer command and control, which is T1071. We're also seeing exploitation of public-facing systems T1190 in Grandstream VoIP phones and vulnerable VS Code executions. These flaws give attackers remote execution or local file access in trusted developer environments. Nation-state activity stands out in the Dell RecoverPoint exploitation by UNC 6201, with overlaps noted to Silk Typhoon. This is a long-term stealthy enterprise compromise. Across the board, the most common themes are identity theft, trusted platform abuse, and attackers hiding in legitimate infrastructure, DNS, AI tools, browser sessions, and firmware updates. With a focus on business impact and data breach risk, the Dell zero-day alone represents high-impact enterprise risk. Root-level access inside VMware environments means potential data theft, operational disruption, and persistent backdoors deployed before detection. The Canada Goose data leak exposes 600,000 customers to targeted phishing and fraud, even as the customer suggests a third-party payment processor may be involved. That introduces third-party risk and reputational damage regardless of direct system compromise. The Abu Dhabi passport exposure involves high-profile global leaders and executives. Even if accessed only by a researcher, the reputational consequences and identity theft risks are significant. ICS vulnerability growth in manufacturing and energy raises operational risk. If severe flaws go untracked by CISA, organizations may operate under a false sense of security. For SMBs, the Grandstream VoIP flaw could allow attackers to intercept calls, extract SIP credentials, and pivot deeper into flat networks. And at the individual level, phishing kits, fake crypto scams, and info stealers continue converting identity data into financial crime at scale, evidenced by $45 million in losses tied to Interpol's operation and $8.1 million in fraudulent tax filings in the Warzone rat case. So some defender lessons of the episode are to first eliminate hard-coded and default credentials immediately. The Dell case demonstrates how long these exposures can persist in enterprise infrastructure. Second, assume MFA alone is insufficient. Monitor for anomalous session token reuse and behavioral indicators, not just password compromise. Third, treat development environments and extensions as part of your attack surface. VS Code plugins and NPM packages are now high-value targets. Fourth, monitor DNS and AI web traffic for abnormal patterns. DNS-based payload delivery and AI-based command relays blur traditional detection boundaries. Fifth, aggressively segment VoIP devices and management appliances. Devices with web APIs should not sit exposed on flat internal networks. And finally, expand vulnerability intelligence beyond a single advisory source. ICS reporting gaps mean you must track multiple feeds, not just CISA. And on to our security concept of the episode, we have today's concept of supply chain compromise. Supply chain compromise occurs when attackers infiltrate a trusted distribution channel like an NPM package, a firmware update, VS Code extension, or embedded Android system component to push malicious or unauthorized functionality to downstream users. The key danger is trust transitivity. If developers trust NPM, users trust developers, and enterprises trust firmware updates, a single upstream compromise cascades across thousands or millions of endpoints. This episode showed supply chain risk in software packages, mobile firmware, and developer tooling, proving it is no longer an edge case. It is a primary attack vector. Identity abuse, supply chain poisoning, DNS-delivered malware, AI-powered deception, and long-term nation-state persistence, this week's threat landscape reinforces one reality. Attackers are not breaking in loudly, they're logging in, blending in, and hiding inside trusted systems. Patch aggressively, audit credentials, monitor behavior, not just signatures, and question every layer of your software supply chain. This has been Threatopia, where we don't just report the headlines, we map the attack patterns behind them. If you found this briefing valuable, stay tuned for our next episode where we continue to breaking down the threats that matter most to defenders. Please like this show because it really helps us out. Thanks for listening to Threatopia and stay safe out there.